Hello and welcome back to the Gold Newsletter, here from the floor of the Deutsche Goldmesse in Frankfurt, Germany. My name is Kai Hoffman, I'm the EdJR mining guy over on X, and together with our friend Brian London, I'm the host of the Gold Newsletter, and I get to speak again with an old friend of the channel, old friend of Soar Financial, and old friend of the conference, Philippe Cloutier, President and CEO over at Cartier Resources.
Yep.
Philippe, it's great to have you back in that seat.
Indeed. Actually, I've only this one of your conferences.
I know, I think you've done them all almost. We'll need to get you a pin next time.
Thank you.
The golden pin. Absolutely. Philippe, really appreciate you coming. Before we dive into anything, give us a 30-second overview of Cartier Resources, and then I've got a lot of follow-up questions for you.
Cartier Resources, founded in 2006. I'm the president and founder. We're listed on the Toronto Venture Exchange with the ticker ECR. We explore for gold exclusively in the Quebec portion of the Abitibi Greenstone Belt. We have our flagship project, which is called the Cadillac Project, and we're about to commence a 100,000-meter diamond drill program. There you have it.
There you go. Perfect. No, that's exactly what you said last time when you're sitting in that chair. It's like, we're going to drill 100,000 meters in 2025. I'm a shareholder, and I was sitting there, how is he going to do it?
That was 6 months ago. That was in November 2024. In December 2025, Agnico bought O3 Mining. O3 Mining had about 14% of our shares. That put Agnico in a situation where they had 27% of Cartier. So January, February, March, April, we essentially resolved to have an investor rights agreement redrafted to the benefit and protection of both their group and our group. It's filed on SEDAR. I encourage people to go see it. It's a fundamental moving forward document. And then we did the financing. So yes, it was a bit slow to get the right money and the right people in this financing, but now we're fully financed to do the full 100,000 meter diamond drill program, and it will have several components to it that I'm presenting here at the conference.
Fantastic. Now, we'll dive into the catalyst in a second, but we got to talk about the financing. A, terms, of course, and B, who came in. That's a lot of money you raised.
Some of the who came in is confidential, but it was obviously led by Agnico to the tune of 30%. So we raised $11.3 million, and 30% of that was Agnico, then it was high net worth and some sophisticated funds out in Toronto. The books were actually closed within 2 hours of announcement. Obviously, what took so long was the due diligence and the fact that there was, things to get resolved. So there was about, I'd say, half a dozen subforms.
Yeah.
That I'll say that.
That's easy to manage.
That's easy to manage. The terms were 13 cent with an 18-cent warrant, good for 5 years, and a 3-year trigger, acceleration trigger. So all said and done, if the warrants and options were executed, then we would have $30 million in the bank. Right now we have 11.3, another $1 million coming from the government. We are set to receive all our bids for the diamond drilling, the assaying, and the geology in the next 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Permitting will follow, and drilling will be launched in July, early August.
Did the money come with any strings attached?
No.
No. So you weren't told, use this money to drill this area or do this with that?
No. We attached ourselves. I mean, last November, when I told you we'd be drilling 100,000 meters on the Cadillac project, that was our game plan, and that's what we sold, and that's why it attracted those sophisticated investors. 100,000 meters, Kai, drilled from 0 to 300 meter depth. That's 500 drill holes that will be drilled from August 2025 to March 2027. That's a hole per day, 2 machines, 24/7 non-stop. Maybe 3 to 4 machines during the winter months, to address the swampy areas on the project. But it's going to be directed at 30 different targets. 12 of them actually generated by the Verify Artificial Intelligence approach. Geologists have egos, so we were kind of wondering where that was going. I have to say I'm really impressed. I'm impressed because I should be, actually, because the machine had something to work with. It had a very robust data set, and a lot of that was in and around Chimo, but then it was also able to calibrate and compare itself with the other gold occurrences along the Cadillac break. So those targets are really interesting, and we're going to be drilling those as well as the traditional ounce generating, ounce growing targets.
I was going to say, my next question was going to be, what's the goal of the 100,000 meter drilling? Of course, drilling is fun, but you need to have a target in mind.
3 goals. 1, to demonstrate we're actually dealing with a mining camp. 2, to grow the resources on the individual showings that had been discovered over a 60-year period and that now are free to be drilled because there's no longer any property boundaries. It's 100% Cartier. And the third objective is to make new discoveries, either with Verify or the traditional targeting approach. So 3 very exciting milestones to be reached with this 100,000 meter program.
Define mining camp for me.
Okay, a mining camp, well, when you have a mine, usually 20, 30 years later, you say, well, there's a cluster of mines around that initial deposit. And some of them are much bigger, some of them are smaller or equivalent. So Chimo right now is 2.3 million ounces of gold with 58,000 meters of drilling. There's an additional 52,000 meters that we drilled that weren't added to the resource. So I think we're looking at something like 3 million ounces. So a mining camp would be 3 or 4 more Chimos. So we're targeting something in the hopes of saying, okay, we're dealing with eventually 12 or 15 million ounces. And since we're only going to be drilling from surface to 300 meters, we're only set to identify the tips of the iceberg of all these other zones, right? It's blue sky, a lot of blue sky stuff.
Now, since I have you, Philippe, and I'm jumping around a little bit, and I do apologize, but tell us a bit more about the Abitibi. What's the situation there? As you said, Agnico bought 03. What's the sentiment there?
It's really funny because, as you know, gold price is up, but there's no love for the juniors, so they're not getting any money. So there's a lot of exploration programs that run by juniors that are stalled right now. You've only got a few juniors that are actually got money to go move forward. Cartier, Probe, Amex, so on and so forth, Radisson. So and so these companies are getting really good contracts, diamond drill contracts, lab contracts. And the sentiment is, as always, there's a mining boom, and the mining camps are getting the benefit of that. And what's also very funny is when there's a mining boom, usually there's inflation built into that. The mining camps are shielded from that. You do get inflation for remote jurisdictions like Nunavut or High North or remote areas in Africa and South America. But when you're in and around mining camps such as Val-d'Or, Malartic, Rouen, Timmins, those camps are shielded from the usual inflation that comes with a mining boom. So I hope I've answered your sentiment question.
No, fantastic. You mentioned permitting.
Yep.
So anything we need to be concerned about, run us through the process? Do we need to worry about that?
No. I mean, it's standard run-of-the-mill. Once you get your tenders in, you're able to identify your contractors and then put that into your permitting request. It's a 30-day, 60-day process. We have things such as ATIs and 319s. Those are industry jargons. We don't have the AK-47 type permitting stuff that you see in delinquent.
So it's just a formality to really dumb it down?
It is, and it's a pro-mining jurisdiction. So as long as you maintain a very good corporate citizen approach relationships with the local communities, and they're like, it's the municipalities, the local outfitters, the people that have cottages and the First Nations, etc. You just have to be a good corporate citizen, and with a shareholder in the order of 27% like Agnico, we tend to be a very good organization on that front.
Absolutely. On the Agnico front, are they starting to make demands like board seats or anything like that to really shape the direction of where Cartier is going?
No, if you read the investor rights agreement, they do have a right to nominate, but as long as the junior is not delinquent, they don't tend to do that. and they haven't. There is a clause in there where we will accommodate a technical committee, which for us is a bonus because then we have access to two of the representatives to run over our programs and help us orient the program. But they have no authority on actually doing the program. I like to say it's a good way to get some free and high-end consulting because they offer us a unique perspective on how to keep moving this thing forward.
Chimo Tailings Project. You haven't taled about that yet. Tell us more about what that means to you.
That came about in a discussion with an individual that said, "Have you looked at that?" And I had to be honest. I said, "No." Geologists don't tend to go and try to revive tailings because there's usually deleterious elements and so on and so forth. But with the price of gold being what it is, it's easy for a group of geologists like us to say, well, we measure the volume of tailings impacted there, and then we give it a grade and say, well, listen, here's an easy moneymaker. Chimo is special in the fact that the tailings that are there have had a full environmental certificate, liberation certificate. And that's owing to the fact that there are no sulfide components or deleterious elements in that tailing. So it's simply a question of how much does it cost to take this pulped, finely grinded material, bring it to a tailings, and how much does that cost? Okay, fine. That gives me the cutoff to how many ounces I have to have in the tailings, and then to measure and assess if we have an economic project here. That's being done right now. We have not yet selected the group of consultants that will do that assessment, but that will be a news item from now till October. I think I'll be able to report on the yay or the nay of that project. But it's a freebie.
Yeah.
It's a freebie.
Yeah, you can just mix it in. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Philippe, it sounds like it's all leading to a new resource update for Chimo here.
Yeah.
Q1 2026, is that a fair assessment?
I would say that. The in-house group would say no, Phil, much earlier. So I tend to always want to be on the safe side and under-promise and over-deliver. But I did indicate earlier on in the interview that the first 4 resource estimates that we produced were based from 58,000 meters of diamond drilling. Since then, we've done an extra 52,000 that were never built into a 5th resource estimate. So it could be done relatively easy at a low cost. We have launched the process. We'll see where that goes.
Fantastic. Awesome. No, fair enough. And then I know you mentioned it before, but run us through the upcoming catalysts now. What is it? It's mid-May. What's coming up over the summer, let's say until September?
Well, the news flow from the Chimo Tailings Project, news flow from the environmental baseline study, which route will we take, news flow for the launching of the project and the various components of the diamond drill program, and then news flow from potentially some of our non-core assets. Chimo, Fenton, Benoit, and Wilson in the north, well, Goldfields has recently acquired Cisco. What will we do that? Will we joint venture that, so on and so forth? And then there's news flow from potentially a new resource estimate and also PEA. You got to remember our most recent preliminary economic assessment was delivered and filed in May 2023 when the price of gold was $1,750. Now the price of gold is $3,000. So there is merit to put another timestamp on the value of the project, the Chimo mine project itself, and that doesn't say anything about all the upside that we have on the Cadillac project.
Fantastic. Philippe, what a wonderful conversation as always. Thank you. Appreciate the update. Congrats on raising the money and delivering on what you promised us here in November, because I walked away, like, ooh, those are big words. Those are big numbers he's talking about. Yeah. He's got to deliver on that, and it looks like you have. So let's see if the drilling adds to what we need to see here and what we have, and good luck out there. Philippe, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in here to the Gold Newsletter. Hope you enjoyed this conversation with Philippe Cloutier, President and CEO over at Cartier Resources. We're a shareholder. We're getting paid for this interview, but I tremendously appreciate Philippe. I've known him for years, and I really like the project. So thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back with lots more here on the Gold Newsletter channel. Thank you.